Ladies and gents, welcome to CG Reaction, and this is Exploring the SCP Foundation, SCP-3008, a normal IKEA. Sure, it's normal. By the channel, the Exploring series. What does the description say? Probably didn't properly explain it, although the horizontal space of 3008 is believed to be infinite. Oh, okay. The ceiling can be seen. Did somebody went to IKEA and hated how big the store was or something and created this? when some people said in the last SCP videos, and I also got few good thumbs up there. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna react to this IKEA one. But how can IKEA one can be great story? Well, apparently it is, since people think so. I just love it, man. SCP is just great world. First of all, I didn't even know what SCP was just a few days ago. I started a first SCP video because somebody said I should check it out. I'm like, maybe some military organization, something real world life. That's some hidden military organization, something like how Delta Force and things are. It could be something like that. Could be some operation name. I had no idea what I'm walking into, and then I saw like, god damn, this is an actual fictional world. Fictional world, and lots of people add stories to it, connect it, and create this rich, awesome lore that stretches out to lots of genres. Man, that really stunned me. There's rarely some things that I get surprised about, and SCP was one of those things because I had no idea about it. I do this reaction channel because my general knowledge is vast. Whatever topic or whatever video I react to, I would have some kind of knowledge about it. This SCP I had no idea about. I'm like, god damn, how I did not know about this. But this is so awesome. So far I've reacted to obviously first introduction videos, 2 introduction videos. I reacted to the movie Overlord. Also reacted to the other that the Shy Guy also movie on that. Then I reacted to the headlight thing. That was also creepy. And now I'm reacting to this on normal IKEA. I love it. I created a playlist for all SCP videos I reacted to. Check it out in the cards or end card. And yeah, let's see what it is. This is going to be fun.
SCP-3008. A perfectly normal, regular old IKEA. There are things that are horrific because they are inexplicably alien to us, such as eldritch creatures from other planets or dimensions. And then there are things that are horrific because they take something familiar or ordinary and distort it into something nightmarish, such as being murdered in a park. The SCP universe, of course, contains both of these concepts, both the alien and the familiar, but there are also plenty of things that blur that line, such as SCP-3008, an infinite IKEA store. For those that have been inside one of these large, twisting buildings, the idea of being lost in one is something that isn't that far-fetched.
Exactly, that's what I said at the start. Somebody who created this was so annoyed at IKEA that they wrote an entire SCP story about it.
But making the space infinitely large puts this concept on another level. There are, of course, other anomalous things at work in SCP-3008, but let's go through this report one step at a time. SCP-3008 is an IKEA-branded building, currently owned by the Foundation, and all roads leading to or passing by the location have been redirected. No one is allowed to enter the building without permission by the senior researcher. Any humans seen leaving the building are to be detained and debriefed, and any other entities leaving the building are to be immediately terminated.
Another entity.
The first anomalous effect occurs when someone enters SCP-3008 and moves out of sight of the entrance doors. The subject will find themselves seamlessly moved to an alternate dimension, often without them realizing.
Okay.
This dimension contains the infinite IKEA space, so far calculated to be at least 10 square kilometers, but at the least far greater than could be contained in the 3008 building. Entering the 3008 building through any entrance other than the front, or breaking through the exterior walls, will enter into the normal IKEA interior. At times consistent with the normal opening and closing times of an IKEA store, the overhead lighting will turn on and off, creating a sort of day-night cycle. While there are a number of exits located in the dimension, they move around seemingly randomly, and it's believed that these exits can move even while being watched by an individual.
Oh my god.
SCP-3008 contains an unknown number of humans that entered the alternate dimension before the Foundation managed to contain.
Alright, so first of all, it's an infinite cell, they're saying. But they're also saying it's 10 square kilometers at least. So is that whoever escaped the building, is that the number that they gave? That is, so far we walked for 10 kilometers either direction, so it's at least 10 square kilometers or something. Because if it's 10 square kilometer, it can't be infinite. And other thing, that anybody enters through any other door or break through the wall, they enter normal IKEA store. So clearly that store is unused because front door is clearly not accessible. So that IKEA store is abandoned, things are just there and just gathering dust or something. Obviously the day and night cycle, and maybe something happened sometime in between, because clearly the IKEA store was built. IKEA store is there, since you can enter it from any other direction to a normal IKEA store. So when was IKEA store was created? In some times between this, something happened that created this door to another dimension, I guess. That's just heavy. Alright, let's watch.
And have so far been unable to escape or be rescued. Additionally, SCP-3008 contains a large number of anomalous humanoids, dressed as IKEA employees and possessing no facial features.
Damn.
These entities have exaggerated and inconsistent bodily proportions, being too short or too tall, and during the day cycles of SCP-3008, they wander through the environment, unresponsive to questions. At night, however, they will act extremely hostile to any humans in SCP-3008, attacking them while saying variations of, "The store is now closed. Please exit the building."
What is this, Skyrim? Please exit the building, store is closed. Man, this is creepy as F. Man, first of all, look, if I get trapped into some scary thing, scary dimension where there are monsters and thing, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But alternate dimension into an infinite IKEA store where there are just cells and cells of things, there are just hardware tools and normal things like, and then you see these faceless employees who are just not answering you. The lights go dark because it's night time, or no, wait a minute, lights go on because it's night time. Would it be closed since the store is closed? I don't know. I'm guessing the lights should go out since it's the store is closing. So lights go out, and this faceless creatures just runs towards you screaming, the store is closed, and try to attack you. Oh my god, that's just horrible. Just me right now imagining all this scenario just creeps me out. God damn. Because when simplicity, like just simple IKEA store, simplicity becomes creepy, it's really, I get really freaked out by it. If it's something like, fire and brimstone and literal monsters with horns walking around, yeah, okay, that's still scared but understandable. Simple IKEA store and being this creepy is like, god damn, no. And also, exit doors moves around. Like, it's already hard because it's 10 kilometers square area at least, more than that. So if you, by any miracle, you find an exit door and it suddenly moves in front of you, how pissed off would you be?
So far, 14 individuals have escaped SCP-3008, and one instance of these humanoids has come out.
How the hell that happened? Let's say 40 or 50 people went inside and it's this 10 kilometer square area. 10 square kilometer area. And how did they find the exit? That's just extraordinary.
Chasing a human. The individual was killed by the entity before security managed to terminate it, and the man was carrying an IKEA branded journal, the contents of which I will summarize. This individual, whom I'll refer to as Subject, spent over 6 months inside of SCP-3008 before finally dying outside of the structure. Subject began writing in the journal 2 days after entering the alternate dimension.
Before dying outside of the structure?
This individual, whom I'll refer to as Subject, spent over 6 months inside of SCP-3008 before finally dying outside of the structure.
Wait a minute, so he actually exited and then died? Or did Foundation killed him?
Subject began writing in the journal 2 days after entering the alternate dimension alone, and spent the first couple days searching the area around where he entered in hopes of finding the exit. Although he did not succeed in finding an exit, he did find a cafeteria where he ate some fresh and warm meatballs, despite there being no one in sight who could have cooked them. Subject slept on a bed both nights and managed to not encounter any of the humanoid entities during his first 2 days. After waking up on his third day, he began walking in as straight a direction as possible for 3 hours, before climbing a ladder and discovering the space is seemingly infinite. Additionally, Subject noticed a person in the distance and walked to them, only to discover that it was one of the humanoid entities, standing 7 feet tall, with long arms, short legs, and no facial features. The entity ignored the subject, and so he moved on, spending the night on a pile of bunched up tablecloths. Subject continued walking through the store for another few days, passing by countless copies of identical bookshelves, but on his 6th night he was attacked by 2 of the humanoids. He fled in a sprint away from them and found a makeshift city, lit up with floodlights and surrounded by walls made from shelving and beds. The human occupants of the city opened the walls to let the subject in, and the humanoids eventually lost interest and wandered off. This town contained over 50 people and was called Exchange, due to the exchange and return sign hanging above it.
Oh my god, there goes the deep thinking inside it. Whoever wrote this really went deep inside. They actually created this city, like how there's a city in Matrix or something. Like they are all in this together, so they created this makeshift city.
During the day cycle, people go out to search the store for food, water, and other necessities, and at night everyone stays in the city to avoid the humanoids.
Well, since it's infinite, I'm guessing the food would be infinite too.
Apparently, at certain times, the shelves and cafeterias restock in some way, but food and water still have to be rationed. The subject learns that there are an unknown number of other cities in the store, some with more people, and some with less.
Oh my god, so it's not just few people, tons of people went inside, and only 14 or 15 got out. Oh, that's heavy. Yeah, that would make sense. Tons of people went in, obviously, since it's IKEA store, like, I'm going to IKEA, and then just went to another dimension. Oh my god. That is true, isn't it? It's the front door. So if that store's been there for years, tons of people went inside. There would be a lot of them. How many people goes to IKEA anyway? There would be a lot of people. How the hell the town didn't notice that population is going down suddenly?
People have been stuck in the store for years. The concept of finding an exit and leaving is merely a rumor to most trapped inside, and plenty of them have given up trying entirely. Subject spends a large remainder of his time in SCP-3008 at Exchange, building a rapport with the other inhabitants, and going on daily foraging trips with them. He finds a wooden tower miles away that reaches the ceiling, and also finds a telephone, but a voice on the other end merely spoke random words continually. At some point, Exchange was attacked by a group of 20 or 30 humanoids, who attempted to tear down the makeshift walls with their hands. Subject learns that this happens regularly, and they have crafted what weapons they can to fend off the humanoids. The humanoids don't seem to bleed, but go down easily enough, although the townspeople have to move the bodies away from the city, as the dead seem to attract more entities. The humanoids seem to be entirely composed of skin, or a skin-like substance, with no muscles, bones, or organs, at least when they are dead.
Oh my god, only skin? It would be like, cracking open something made of cotton or something. Not cotton, but skin throughout. When you cut that body, it would just take a layer of skin. It's like, god damn, nothing inside? That's creepy as hell. And I'm thinking, since he said, there are just shelves of same books as he was walking. I'm thinking maybe it's not infinite, it just gets generated as you walk ahead, I guess. And I feel like this dimension looks like IKEA because people who go inside it thinking of IKEA since it's an IKEA store from outside. So everybody's thinking of IKEA when they enter, and that's why this dimension resembles the IKEA store. So maybe whatever they are experiencing here is because what they are desiring or what they are thinking. Maybe that's why it's infinite, because they see some bookshelf, they're thinking about bookshelves and it get copied in front of them. Then they also sometimes maybe think about, it's only bookshelves, not something else, and then something else appears and it feels like other sections of it. It could be that. That's just heavy. That's why maybe exits also move around, because they're thinking of exits, and obviously human thoughts and desires are not really stable. So, exit doesn't stay at one place, I guess.
Eventually, a dozen people arrive at Exchange, who reveal that they are survivors from another town named Trolleys. The town was ripped apart by the humanoids, which left roughly 100 dead. People continued to trickle into Exchange, newcomers to SCP-3008, and the humanoids continued to attack the town once or twice a week.
And some of you might be thinking, if it gets generated, how is there actual cities that are still there and sections doesn't get wiped off? Maybe once a person thought of something and there is another human there, that section doesn't get wiped off. It just continues to add up, and that's how it becomes infinite. So the cities they've created, they are going to still exist there because they are still there and they created it. Even if one human is there, maybe that cell still stays there. Cells and everything. The more store only gets created as the person who first goes there, and from there it gets created. Who knows?
Subject reports seeing a quadcopter fly past, which lines up with the Foundation's first drone test into SCP-3008. But other people in Exchange recall seeing a quadcopter fly past months prior. After having a discussion with other people in Exchange, Subject learns that some of the other people possess severely different knowledge of the outside world, including no knowledge of the International Space Station or the Statue of Liberty, and believing a different person to be the Prime Minister. This strongly suggests SCP-3008 pulls people from multiple parallel dimensions, which would explain why so many people could go missing in an IKEA.
No, wait a minute. This also helps my theory. Maybe time doesn't flow similarly, so people, once they get inside, time flows differently for different people. Maybe, but yeah, IKEA store can't be there for forever, so maybe it has to be parallel universe. That is true. Or maybe they went inside some other IKEA store, which also puts you inside this dimension, who knows, from different time period.
6 months after arriving in SCP-3008, Subject is keeping up the same routine in Exchange, with occasional visits from other towns, but the attacks from the humanoids have grown worse. At a certain point, the attacks occur nearly every night, before finally Exchange's wall is destroyed in an attack, and the townspeople move on in hopes of reaching another city called Checkouts. It's believed that during this exodus, Subject got separated from the group while they were being chased by a humanoid, and found an exit. As mentioned before, the humanoid managed to chase the Subject through the exit and kill him.
Okay, I missed that part. So okay, humanoid killed that Subject. I thought that he got out of the IKEA store and then suddenly died. That's suspicious. No, but humanoid chased him. Humanoid chased him all the way outside of the dimension. That's heavy. I thought that those humanoid was just more like security of that dimension. Why would they get out?
SCP-3008 is not a tale of horrific monsters or mind-warping terrors, but it is an entertaining example of the sheer strangeness of the SCP universe.
Yeah.
SCP-3008 likely won't keep you up at night with feverish nightmares, but the combination of familiar reality and inexplicable mystery makes this one among the most interesting of SCPs.
Familiar? There is no IKEA here, but if there were, I would be, a bit afraid to go inside. I know this is all fictional, but still. What if I get trapped inside IKEA infinite space? Hell no. And this SCP is not so good for IKEA themselves, is it? What if even 2 people are afraid of going inside and they lose some purchase? That's still a massive, massive issue. So IKEA would not be loving this one. What is this? This is something I just wrote this. I'm only writing this for a sense of closure, I guess, for me or for anyone who finds this. If this is the final entry here, I hope whoever is reading this is doing so from outside of this place. Okay, my biggest fear, if I do die tonight, I'll just wake up here again in the morning. Oh, that's the guy from the infinite space. That's his fear, so clearly that didn't happen. Or did it happen? Who knows? Maybe people who once go inside the dimension, they die, they just reset. Like some weird Groundhog Day. That's just effed up, man. That thing about people having different knowledge, yeah, that could be from different dimension, or there could be the people from different time zones that went into some IKEA store, because this particular IKEA store cannot be here for what, hundreds of years. It must have been built somewhat recently. So before International Space Station and things like that, this IKEA cannot be here. But what if IKEA or some other store of the past had this same doorway? They went inside and still stuck there, and time is not same in this dimension. So there are people from different timelines too. But yeah, it could make sense from the different dimensions. So different dimensions, people went to IKEA store and end up here. This is scary, man. Obviously, this is all fiction. But what if there are, doorways to different dimensions exist like this, and people mistakenly go inside? First of all, the black hole theory would come into play, because somebody when goes inside black hole, nobody knows about it because nobody came out or no information came out. So what if there are people who are mistakenly walking inside some kind of dimension, but nobody knows about it because there is no information coming out? How would somebody know that somebody just walks inside another dimension? This was awesome. People were saying this is really good. I had my doubt, but no, this was a really interesting one. It wasn't some scary monsters and something like that, but it was a really interesting story. I loved it. Alright people, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you want me to react to some other SCP or any other video, comment down. I'll see you next time.